Hey guys, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will learn about cooperative banks. I am going to cover from basics of cooperative banks along with the current issues related to this topic. It's going to be a bit lengthy, but if you watch till the end of the video, you will get a holistic picture of the cooperative banks. Let's get into the topic. If you see, cooperative movement started in India primarily for dealing with the problem of rural and marginal segment of the society. It is also to eliminate the exploitation of the moneylender and the middleman. Therefore, members of the same community came together and started a cooperative movement to fulfill their requirements. In that way, the cooperative banks came into existence in 1904 with the Cooperative Credit Societies Act. This act promoted the establishment of credit cooperative societies, and it is a beginning of institutionalization of cooperative banking system in India. What is cooperative bank? It is financial entities established on the cooperative basis, that is, it is created by the members belonging to the community who shares the common interest. Therefore, the members are the owners and the customers of the bank at the same time. Unlike commercial banks whose voting right is based on the holding of shares, the cooperative banks operate like a democratic setup on the principle of one person, one vote. As like other banks, cooperative banks is also founded by collecting funds through shares. It also accepts deposits and grant loan to the people. The main objective of the cooperative bank is to provide a credit service to the unbanked segments, especially agriculture, small-scale industries and bigger section of the society at comparatively low interest rate. It plays a crucial role in last-mile credit delivery. It also provides basic banking service, thereby promoting the financial inclusion. This is the present overall structure of the cooperative banks. It has its presence both in rural and urban areas as a rural cooperative banks and urban cooperative banks. First, let's see about the structure and functions of rural cooperative banks. It has two divisions as a short-term and the long-term structures. Short-term cooperative banks lend up to 1 year. It is primarily to meet the crop requirements, whereas long-term structures lend to meet medium and long-term fund requirements, especially to meet the credit facility for the capital formation in agriculture, rural industry and the housing. If you see the structure of the short-term cooperative banks, it's like a federal setups arranged in 3-tier format with state cooperative banks at the apex level, district cooperative banks at the intermediate level and primary agriculture credit society at the grassroots level. Let's look at each levels of cooperative banks. State Cooperative Bank is established in each state and it acts as an apex body for cooperative banks in a particular state. It relies on the NABARD refinance facility and also it gets a loan from the RBI at concession rates. Its major function is to provide liquidity support and also technical assistance to the district cooperative banks and the primary agriculture credit societies. In case of district cooperative banks, its operational areas are limited to one district. It mobilizes deposits from the public and is also provide loan facility to the people and also to the primary agriculture credit societies. At the village level, there is a primary agriculture credit societies. Apart from providing agriculture loans, these society will also arrange for the supply of agriculture inputs like fertilizers, seeds, consumer article to the consumers and also helps in marketing of the produce. Moving on to the long-term structure, it consists of state cooperative agriculture and rural development banks. It is operating at state level and the primary cooperative agriculture and rural development banks operating at district and block level. It helps in meeting the capital requirement for agriculture and the small-scale industries. That's it about the rural cooperative banks. Urban cooperative banks can either be scheduled banks or non-scheduled banks. It means that those banks that are accounted in second schedule of RBI Act 1934 are called scheduled banks. Further, it has two kinds, that is, it can be a multi-state cooperative banks and single-state cooperative banks. Developments in cooperative bank. This data from RBI gives a picture about the extent of cooperative banks in India as on March 2019. Just look at the operation base in rural and urban areas. The rural cooperative banks constitute the major portion with 64.7% and of urban cooperative banks with 35.3%. Within the urban cooperative banks, the non-scheduled urban cooperative banks constitute the major portion, and in case of the rural cooperative banks, district cooperative banks has its major presence. Moving on to the who regulates the cooperative banking system in India. As a word corporation is in state list under the Indian Constitution, the cooperative banks is established under state laws and it is registered under respective state cooperative societies act. It also comes under the regulation of Reserve Bank of India and the NABARD under two laws, that is Banking Regulation Act 1949 and the Banking Laws Application to Cooperative Societies Act 1965. From this, you can understand that there is a dual regulation or control on cooperative banks, that is the banking operations such as granting of license, maintenance of cash reserve ratios, capital adequacy ratios and the inspection of the banks is regulated by RBI. And the management related functions such as election, administration, auditing of the cooperative banks is regulated by Register of Cooperatives whether under state or central government. Here, you have to note that the primary agriculture credit societies and the long-term cooperatives are outside the purview of Banking Regulation Act 1949. It's a comparison between the commercial banks and the cooperative banks. With respect to the functions of the commercial bank, it offers banking service to the individual and business, whereas cooperative banks provide finance to the agriculture and the rural industries. So cooperative banks is more of targeted approach. Then the commercial bank is under regulatory control of Reserve Bank of India, whereas cooperative bank is under dual regulation as we saw earlier. In case of commercial banks, their borrowers are account holders. It means there is a clear distinction between the shareholders and the borrowers. But in the case of the cooperative banks, their shareholders can be their borrowers. When it comes to the interest rate on deposit is slightly less in commercial banks compared to the cooperative banks. The similarities between the commercial banks and the cooperative bank is that both their deposits is insured under Deposit Insurance and the Credit Guarantee Corporation. To create a sense of security among the depositor, the government has established the Deposit Insurance and the Credit Guarantee Corporation under Reserve Bank of India. Each depositor is insured up to 1 lakh rupees. Recently in February 2020, the insurance covers has been increased from 1 lakh rupees to 5 lakh rupees. It means that in case of any bank failure or cancellation of bank license, the depositor in the respective bank can claim the amount around 5 lakh rupees against their deposits. Let's look at the challenges in the functioning of the cooperative banks. Going by the history, the period 1991 to 2004, that is after liberal licensing policy, there is a phenomenal growth in the cooperative banks. Over the period of the time, it turns unsustainable and become weak. From 2004 onwards, various committees appointed by RBI to regulate the operations of the cooperative banks. From then onwards, RBI adopted a multi-layer approach such as merging of weak urban cooperative banks and introduction of various regulatory norms for the cooperative banks. Even then, there is a various inherent challenges faced by the cooperative banks. They are low capital base. That is, the capital requirement of cooperative bank is 25 lakh against the 100 crore for small finance bank and 500 crore for private banks. Next one is weak governance. There is a political interference and the lack of professional practices which led to the weak internal control system. There is a frequent fraudulent activities is being exposed from the cooperative banks. Then with respect to the adaptation of the new technology, it is slower with respect to the commercial banks and other small finance banks and the payment banks. So it faces a competition from other financial entities in terms of services and the product they provide. I think now you all have clear understanding about the overall operations of the cooperative banks. Let's see some of the current affairs related to the cooperative banks. First one is about PMC crisis, that is Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank crisis. It is one of the urban scheduled cooperative banks. In the month of September 2019, there is a huge financial irregularities being exposed from the bank. The bank has extended around 73% of all bank advances to the financially stressed real estate player Housing and Development Infrastructure Limited. The bank has provided a loan to the entity even after it becomes a bankrupt, and also it failed to report the NPA. Therefore, the RBI has imposed restrictions on the PMC banks in the withdrawal of money, and it cannot grant new loans except fresh deposits without the permission of the RBI. RBI is also superseded the board of the PMC bank and appointed JP Boria as its administrator. In last week, the RBI has extended the restriction by another 6 months till December 2020. The imposition of the restriction was invoked by the central bank under Section 35A of India's Banking Regulation Act 1949. So RBI has been engaging with various stakeholders to explore the possibility of resolution of the PMC bank. The lesson learned from this crisis is that there is a huge concern with regard to the regulation of the cooperative banks, and there is an immediate need to protect the public confidence on the banking system. After this crisis, the RBI has introduced changes in the regulatory norms of cooperative banks. Let's see those one by one. Revised Supervisory Action Framework for Urban Cooperative Banks. It is introduced in 2014 to better manage the stressed cooperative banks. It is similar to the prompt action frameworks imposed on other commercial banks. Under the revised supervisory action frameworks, 3 parameters will be monitored by the Reserve Bank of India. They are asset quality, profitability, capital to risk weighted asset ratio. There are 3 criteria based on which the restrictions can be imposed by RBI on the cooperative banks. They are: if net NPA exceeds 6% of its net advance, when it incurs loss for 2 consecutive financial years, and capital to risk weighted asset ratio falls below 9%. This SAP framework is like a preventive measures against the failure of the cooperative banks. Other guidelines by RBI. The first one is the RBI has proposed setting up of board of management in all urban cooperative banks having deposits of over Rs 100 crore within 1 year. The board of management will look after all the administrative functions of urban cooperative banks, thereby strengthening the governance and promote professional management in these banks. Second one is that the RBI has imposed limits on the lending capacity of urban cooperative banks. It can lend around 10% and 25% to the single entity and the group of borrowers respectively. These limits is imposed to avoid failure like PMC crisis, as it extended 73% of all bank loan advances to the single entity. Next interesting topic is voluntary transition of urban cooperative banks to small finance bank. RBI has introduced a scheme on voluntary transition of urban cooperative bank into the small finance bank. It is in line with the recommendation of the High Power Committee chaired by former Deputy Governor of RBI, R. Gandhi. It is of voluntary nature. There is no compulsory mandate for the urban cooperative bank to be converted into small finance bank. Recently, Shivalik Mercantile Cooperative Bank Limited got in principle approval from RBI for transition into small finance bank. It is the first such cooperative bank to be converted into small finance bank in India. With the transition to the small finance bank, the urban cooperative bank can expand the range of operations and the services it provides and a better adaptation of the technology. Next, we are going to see an article from the Indian Express dated 25th June 2020. The article is about government brings cooperative banks under RBI supervision for better regulation. As we discussed earlier, there is a huge failure being exposed from the cooperative banks, especially with regard to the management related functions, that is with respect to the dual regulation. Hence, to address this problem, the finance ministers introduced a bill, the Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2020, during the budget session 2020-2021. But the bill hasn't passed as the parliament was not in session due to the lockdown. Therefore, Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs has given approval for the promulgation of ordinance to this effect. Through this ordinance, the government plans to bring all urban cooperative banks and the multi-state cooperative banks under the direct supervision of Reserve Bank of India. It doesn't mean that there is an end to the dual regulation. In these provisions, RBI has given the upper hand in the management-related functions of the cooperative banks, such as with respect to the auditing and the elections of the board of directors and the superseding of board of directors in case there is any failure. This decision of the government is also to safeguard the interest of the depositor. We came to the end of the session. I have covered most of the current affairs related to the cooperative banks and its basics of the cooperative banks. I think now you got the clear picture about it. See you all with another topic. Thank you.